Hi, my name is Alyssa, and I would like to tell you the story that lived when I met the love of my life. I will try to summarize my life's history. I was raised by my mother and stepfather, my biological father. I never met him. My mother said he had abandoned us while she was still pregnant. When I turned 4, she met my stepdad, and we moved in with him at his house. Luckily for us, he was always a very good man and a hard worker too. He had the dream of being a father and raised me with lots of love and care. It didn't take long. A lot for my mom to get pregnant with my first little sister. My stepfather was very happy with the news, and my sister was born well and healthy. Our family was very beautiful and happy, and about 3 years after my sister was born, my mother became pregnant again, and this time she gave birth to a boy. Our family was very happy, and I was raised in a home with a lot of love and affection. My stepfather made no difference between me and his children and treated me just like them. I can only thank God for having put him in my life, and in my mother's life too, more mine. Story begins in my adult phase, when I met my husband, Brandon. I met him when I was still in college, and he also. Soon we started dating and we fell in love. We started seeing each other every day, and I was really liking him and him for me too, so we decided to assume our relationship. Brandon was at my house to ask my parents for permission to date me, and it was very well received and well treated by them. The problem really came when I went to meet Brandon's family. When his mother saw me for the first time, he already made an ugly face, and he didn't like it one bit that he was relating to me. I felt bad, and I couldn't understand why she treated me like that, until Brandon explained to me that she was a little racist, and since I'm black, she didn't like to see her son, who is white, relating to me. When Brandon told me about this, I felt really bad, I had never suffered from racism before, and now it seems I have. When my turn came, I didn't like it, I felt inferior, like, can one person not like another just because of their skin tone? I never really understood this. As the months went by, I avoided going to Brandon's house as much as possible. He is a wonderful man, attentive, affectionate, and he really loves me more. His mother was horrible, treated me badly whenever she had the opportunity. I remember well when it was Brandon's birthday, his family was making lunch to celebrate, and I didn't feel good about going, but he insisted so much that I went, and as soon as she saw me, she didn't lose her opportunity to humiliate myself, and I remember that I left there crying, and even his family didn't like the attitude she had with me. That was horrible, having to live and go through it. I never did anything for her. She just didn't like me at all. She couldn't stand me. Brandon felt bad about the whole situation and soon asked me to marriage. He said he had inherited money from his grandfather, who had passed away, and that the money he would use to buy our house for us to get married and live our lives together forever. I was devastated by what had happened on his birthday, and he surprised me with this decision. Even though I'm sad about his mother, I could leave my love to her, and I accepted her request to Brandon, who would now be my fiancé. He promised that he would get away from her because she was very bad for me, and he didn't like it one bit. Our life went on, and time started to wear off. Brandon really pulled away from his mother. I felt guilty about it and told him to go visit her again without me, something he did sometimes, but he told me that she started to treat him badly also because of not accepting that he had chosen me than her. Our life as a couple was perfect. My parents helped us get along, keep it until we can graduate, which wouldn't take long, and getting jobs to support themselves. My parents knew about the persecution that I was going through on account of my mother-in-law, and that's why they offered so much help, even us helped by funding our wedding. And guess what? My mother-in-law didn't even show up. We finally graduated and got jobs in our areas. Our life changed a lot more for the better until just when I got a job. I found out I was pregnant. At that moment, my heart overflowed with happiness because I always dreamed of being a mother, and Brandon also felt the same thing because his dream was to be a father. So we started to dream and prepare everything for the arrival of our baby. We did everything, we planned everything. Everything was very perfect except for the fact that my mother-in-law hated the idea. She didn't accept it at all that his son would have a child with a black woman, and that his grandson would have my traits. For you to have an idea, she didn't even go to the baby shower. She began to despise Brandon in a way he had never seen before. It started to make him feel bad, but I saw his effort not to let it shake you and enjoy our magical moment that we were living in our lives. The months passed very quickly, and soon I gave birth to a very young boy, beautiful, named Brian. Thank God my son was born beautiful and healthy. He was received with much love by my family and by the family of Brandon also, except for his mother. She despised my son, said no. Having a mixed-race grandson who didn't want to know more about us, unfortunately. This left Brandon very shaken, but our life went on. My nightmare really started after the news of a sudden death. My mother-in-law, out of nowhere one night, she had a heart attack, fulminating, and died instantly. No one understood how this had happened until Brandon's aunt said she was with heart problems and not taking care of himself. Brandon was devastated, however, that she was doing all that. She was his mother, and that nobody he could deny it. The thing that made him the most sad was that she died without seeing your grandson. I felt bad for my husband, but I couldn't do nothing about it. But deep down, I felt relieved not to have more of that pressure that she put on my life. But I didn't know that my nightmare had just started. About 2 weeks after her death, I started having dreams about her, and they were horrible dreams where she was chasing me, and she wanted to kill me at any cost. I remember the first time this happened, I woke up scared and very afraid, and things got worse from there. I started to having these dreams often, and in the dreams she was always torturing. I even dreamed of her taking my son. It was horrible having to dream about it. But if it was just the dreams, it wouldn't be so bad. The problem was that she began to literally haunt me. I will explain. It all started in dreams until I started seeing her around my house, and yes, it was she. I could see her passing between the rooms, and when I went to see it, there was nothing and no one. It was an image. Scary. She wore black clothes and scared the shit out of me. There was a time I woke up at night and went to drink water in the kitchen and ended up breaking the glass because as soon as I closed the fridge door, I saw her very close. Her face was full of hate, and that paralyzed me. As soon as the glass hit the floor and broke, it was gone. When Brandon came to see what was going on, I told him everything that was going on with me. He didn't know anything because I decided not to tell him about this because his fight was still very recent. He believed in the end He said he had no idea what to do. And the disturbances didn't stop. It continued to haunt me, everyone. Every day I saw her at my house, and she always scared me a lot because I was never expecting. I saw her outside my house. Peeking out, I saw in the rooms passing by at a glance. I also saw in my dreams these nightmares I had every night, and they were always the same. Seeing her chasing me and me trying to escape her clutches. My son Brian was still very young, and I was very tired because a baby makes the mother very tired, and with the disturbances I was suffering made everything more difficult. I couldn't take it anymore. She was really haunting me, and I knew it was her because I saw. I asked her what she wanted and why she was so upset. But I never got any answer. She just tortured me psychologically as she did in life, but the problem was that in life I could get away and live in peace away from her. Now she was on top of me all the time, even after she's dead. I tried to tell a few people close to me and no one believed. Only Brandon saw that I wasn't lying and that this was not something in my head, until one day it was the last straw. I saw her close to my son. She watched him from afar, and that made me angry in addition to being scared, and whenever I got close or I looked carefully, she disappeared from my sight. The nightmare got worse. When Brian started to get sick, Brandon and I took him to the doctor to find out why and what his problem was, and they didn't have the answers. My son was healthy in the exams, but he had a fever and a cough constantly, and I always saw that damned old woman next to him from. At a glance, I knew it was her doing. She wanted to get rid of it. My life, even after I died, I never believed in ghosts or life after death until you live it. Brandon knew everything but couldn't see anything and had the idea to call a pastor to pray our house and try to resolve our problem, but she didn't help. She kept giving me hell, and my son started to get worse until we took him to the hospital, and he was hospitalized because he had caught pneumonia, and it was pneumonia. Very strange because my husband and I took such good care of Brian, but I knew it was her. It was her fault. Brandon then commented to a friend about the situation, which indicated the services of a medium that dealt with this type of problem. I didn't even know what a medium was until I researched and understood a little about the subject. In short, he was a professional who took care of problems like these. Spiritual problems. We then got in touch with her. Her name was Mary, and she claimed to be medium since she was a child, and that she had already helped many people who were going through this type of problem. We scheduled a day and she went our house. She said that at the time she felt a very heavy environment, and said also that she was actually my mother-in-law, so she started her work, and she said that my mother-in-law was blaming me for her death. She thought I was the cause of her heart stopping. Medium said she thought she had died of heartbreak because of me. I begged her to help us, and she said that she would solve it. She scheduled some sessions where she did a type of energetic cleaning and said that she would try to give my mother-in-law a light to follow and leave our life in peace. We waited about 4 days, and at the end of the 4th day she said that there was no point in talking, that my mother-in-law was blind and lost in the darkness, but she told us not to worry because she would solve our problem. She said that she called a spiritual team that would help her in her work, said that if she wasn't going to follow her path in the spiritual plane for good, she would follow it for bad, forced by the medium's team of friendly spirits. The very next day she claimed to have removed my mother-in-law and sent her to recovery. Things improved right away. I was finally able to sleep without having those horrible dreams, and I also stopped seeing her at our house. Our son Brian got better too, and the medium said that it was all her own fault, and that if we hadn't called her, she would end up with our life slowly. It left me terrified. How could all this happen? How could a spirit influence so much in our lives? After the medium treatment, we were never bothered by my deceased mother-in-law again. Until today, we still do energy cleansing with this medium, and it really saved our lives. She said that my mother-in-law was obsessed with us, our family, and mainly me and Brian, but thank God he put that medium in our path and everything ended well. Time has passed and today I have 2 children with Brandon and our life goes on happily and well. Just thinking that it could have ended in a horrible way because of my mother-in-law's obsession.